Grip socks are great, and now they're even better with Pure Grip Socks Pro. Better fit, moisture wicking, amazing comfort, and all the extra grip you need. Choose from 10 different colors for just $16.99 a pair at puregripsocks.com.
Over the last year, we've seen supply chain issues in just about every area, but when it comes to football boots specifically, it's been pretty normal to see a boot unveiled, but then actually be on pre-order and not available for another week or two. In the case of the boots that I'm going to be showing you today, I am fortunate to get them significantly earlier than everybody else, because if you want to order a pair, pre-order is for late January. Some places even say late February, and the boot I'm talking about is this guy right here. Another incredible remake from Adidas, this time in the form of the F50 Adizero, the OG 2010 synthetic upper, paired up with the brand new Speedflow sole plate found on both the 0.1 and Plus, bearing a retail price of $250 as part of the Legends pack, which of course also includes the Predator Pulse and AdiPure 1. The Preds and AdiPures were available right away, where these are experiencing gigantic delays for reasons that nobody really knows. Nonetheless, they are available for pre-order, and you can have them in time for the spring season. The question is, are they worth the wait, and are they worth the $250 price tag, given that for the same amount of money, you can buy Adidas's own flagship speed boot in the Speedflow 0.1. Does combining an 11-year-old upper from the famous OG F50 Adizero with the modern day Speedframe and Carbotex insert actually function as a pair of speed boots in not so much 2021, because they're not going to be available until 2022. So are they good as speed boots next year? That's what we're about to find out. So if you're interested in learning more, including how they fit and feel on feet, please stick around, watch the entire review. And if you are interested in a pair for yourself, you can pre-order them right now by way of the first link down below. No string bag for those wondering. First things first, I just want to quickly comment on the colorway, because I think Adidas did a great job with the entire Legends pack, and despite this not being an OG colorway for the F50 Adizero, I think it's one that looks really good. You can never really go wrong with black, white, and gold accents, and honestly, they're not too far off the original launch colorway for the 2010 F50 Adizero. You have a nice glossy black finish to this synthetic upper. The F50 logo there in gold I think looks great. The pinstripe across the bottom, the gold detailing here that kind of matches the texturing of the Jabulani match ball of the 2010 World Cup, I think stands out really nicely. You of course get the wearable finish in the chrome gold heel counter and kind of back half of the sole plate, which transitions into like a glossy white that has a little bit of sparkle to it. Again, a wearable finish, so definitely something worth noting. And even little details like gold accents inside the boots and the reinforcement frame actually being in white so you can see it, I think is a really nice touch. Again, for $250, I don't think it's unreasonable for what you're getting. And once again, Adidas has nailed a limited edition remake. As for the performance side of things, I'm going to be really blunt with you, as I always am. If I had $250 to spend on an Adidas speed boot, I would not pick the F50 remake over the current Speedflow 0.1. I just prefer the way those feel, and I find them more comfortable overall. With that said, if the 2010 F50 Adizero with the synthetic upper is one of your all-time favorite football boots, a grail if you will, then by all means you will prefer this F50 remake over the current speed boot offerings from Adidas and pretty well every other brand, because I think what this offers as an overall package in today's speed boot market is actually really unique and very, very appealing depending on your personal preferences. Now, as for the remake aspect of this upper, true to a lot of the remakes that Adidas have done over the last several years, it is spot on to the original. If you had a synthetic F50 Adizero, this feels exactly the same. It's a single layer of synthetic material with a glossy finish on the surface, added grip by way of Jabulani-esque texturing running across the surface of the upper, the internal support cage that runs on either side of the foot highlighted in white, and the material itself does feel plasticky by today's standards, there's no doubt about that, but it's aged surprisingly well, especially when you compare it to other speed boots that were available back in 2010. I think compared to the Mercurial Vapor and Superfly offerings at the time, this just feels significantly better. And again, given the recent trend in synthetics in the speed boot category, this is definitely not as thin as something like a Speedflow 0.1 or even an Ultra 1.3, certainly not as thin as the Mercurials either, but it has nice structure to it. It still provides a barefoot feel that I would say is appealing in today's football boot market. And again, for an upper that is 11 years old, the feel for the ball and the general shape of the boot just really does work. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that the Speedframe design of this sole plate is actually pretty similar to the original sprint frame found on the 2010 F50 Adizero. And then of course with that deep off-centered lacing system that really made this original design quite unique. I love the fact that the laces are pushed a little bit to the outside, so you have this really clean surface area across the top of the foot for striking. It does a good job of giving you plenty of adjustability, and with the laces tied tight, it's a football boot that almost feels like it was designed to be this way in the first place, which is something that you can't always say about remake football boots when they pair an old school upper with a modern day sole plate. This one, however, just works really well. What hasn't aged as well, but is very true to the original, is the heel area of this F50 Adizero, which of course features a low cut that cuts very low at the back, as you can see by the side profile, and features this little extension piece that has kind of made its way back onto Adidas speed boots. This one in particular, though, really does nothing. It does sit quite close against your Achilles tendon, where some people have experienced issues both with the original as well as with some of the remakes with some kind of blistering issue. In my experience, as long as you don't leave that exposed to any bare skin, I personally never had any issues with that, but it definitely is something worth keeping in mind. It's very soft at the back. All the structure is coming from this external heel counter. And then the heel liner has that same texturing that you're gonna find on the Jabulani match ball, as well as the upper of this football boot, providing some additional friction and grip against your socks, but it's very, very lacking in padding. There's really no extra padding back here, just a little bit at the very back, but then nothing along the sides, minimal amounts of padding along the edges of the ankle as well. I personally don't find this to be overly comfortable, but I don't think it's unwearable by any means. It's not my favorite. I don't think it's anywhere near as good from a comfort or a fit standpoint as the modern day Speedflow. But again, if you really enjoyed the fit and feel of that original F50 Adizero, this is exactly that. Available again in 2021, 2022. And then the insole is fully removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. A little bit different from the original F50 in that it's just more heavy duty. Nonetheless, it features a mesh liner on the surface, some perforations through the forefoot area, and then it's made from a single layer of black foam. Definitely not a thick insole, but compared to what was in the original F50 Adizero, this is a lot less flimsy. As for the sole plate and stud pattern, you guys kind of know what the deal is. This was originally introduced on the X Ghosted. It's now available on the X Speedflow, and it's what Adidas calls the Speedframe, which does feature an external heel counter attached to a plastic sole plate with a raised forefoot and a Carbotex carbon fiber insert running through the forefoot, toe box, and almost the midfoot area that provides an incredible amount of spring back effect and energy return every time your foot bends, which means that every step you take, you're going to feel this carbon fiber insert underneath your foot. As far as functional technology in a pair of football boots go, this is one of the most effective ones that we've ever seen, period. And I think it really complements the OG F50 Adizero upper. Is this sole plate quite as light as what you found on the original F50? No, the boots as a whole do have more weight to them without being heavy, of course, but I really like this technology. And again, it works surprisingly well given the age difference between these two elements of the football boot. As far as the stud pattern is concerned, this is the FG layout, which does trend towards more of a bladed stud pattern, more so than we've seen from a lot of Adidas football boots since that original F50 Adizero. This to me, while the same layout as the OG, is a significantly better stud pattern and offers way more aggressive traction. It's one of the best stud patterns out there in the speed boot category, and it shouldn't let you down. When it comes to weight, that really was the claim to fame of that original 2010 F50 Adizero. So when you pair that upper with the modern day Speedframe, does it make for a lighter product than the current Speedflow 0.1? The answer to that question is yes, which I'm going to show you in real time on the scale. In a size 9.5 US, this F50 Adizero remake weighs in at 6.2 ounces. the equivalent of 175 grams, which makes this one of the lightest football boots currently available. The only thing that's a little bit lighter is going to be that Puma Ultra 1.3, which is just ridiculous. If you want that OG F50 Adizero lightness, that's definitely the football boot to buy. But if you want that OG F50 Adizero feel in a weight that comes very close and is actually lighter than the current Speedflow 0.1, not by much, but by a little, then I think you're gonna be really happy with the weight of this remake. So here they are on feet, where I guess unsurprisingly, they feel a lot like the OG 2010 F50 Adizero, being that it is the same upper, but I'm gonna go on a limb and say that it's a more comfortable version of that football boot, mainly based on the underfoot feel of the modern Speedframe, just being more solid than that original Sprint frame was. That, in comparison to what we have now from Adidas, just feels kind of flimsy, and honestly, this just has a really, I guess, technical feel underfoot. It feels like you're standing on top of something that is meaningful, where the original F50 Adizero, as light and as great as they were, it really felt like super thin plastic that was super thin for the sake of being as light as possible. This comes very close in weight, but feels much, much more solid underfoot, which I personally prefer. I think most of you would as well. As far as the fit of the upper is concerned, it works extremely well with the sole plate, where the general shape of the boot, I'm gonna say, is pretty bang on to the original F50, where they're gonna be suitable for most foot types. There's definitely more width because of the traditional tongue design and even the off-centered lacing system. The lacing system also runs nice and deep, so getting the boots on is much easier than the average one-piece upper that we have these days. And with the laces tied tight, they feel very, very secure. Of course, the boot does have more of a rigid, plasticky feel in comparison to the modern day Speedflow 0.1, but in general, I don't think that's gonna be an issue for somebody that's gonna be into a product like this. Given that it is an 11-year-old upper, you expect it to feel a little bit different than what we have now, but it certainly does not feel bad. So from a width perspective, I definitely think these are gonna be suitable for just about everybody. If you have extremely wide feet, maybe not the best option, but if you had that original F50 Adizero, like the way that they fit and felt, these are going to fit and feel very similar to those. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, there's obviously a huge nostalgia aspect to any of these remake football boots that Adidas have been putting out. People want to have a football boot that looks and feels like the ones they had as a kid. And I was lucky enough as a kid to have an OG pair of 2010 F50 Adizeros with the synthetic upper, and I really like them a lot. I think what's cool about these, unlike a lot of remakes, is sometimes you have these fond memories of a football boot, and then when you get them on your feet again 10, 15 years later, you kind of have this realization that maybe football boots have progressed a little bit, and maybe my tastes have changed, and this probably isn't the product for me. Somehow, this 11-year-old upper has actually aged surprisingly well, to where I put these on my feet and I don't feel shocked by the stiffness and rigidity and plasticky feel of the upper. I think they fit and feel quite good. The heel liner is a little bit of a letdown for me, and something that really holds me back in terms of picking these over the modern day Speedflow 0.1. But for somebody that, again, is a huge fan of the 2010 F50 Adizero, it's one of your all-time favorite football boots, for $250, especially in a colorway this good looking, I can very strongly recommend them, and I think they're gonna offer an experience that you're going to enjoy more so than any other speed boot that's currently available. In other words, they're worth the wait.